I'm supposed to talk about, here is my outline. In this case, I'm just going to talk about how to identify schools by identifying your research and then the program interest. By that, it means like what you're interested on. Assuming you study physics in your undergrad, and then you decide to. I mean, physics is broad, right? It has a lot of aspects that you can just venture into. We have the condensed matter physics, we have the nuclear physics, we have the solid state physics, and all that. So you just have to identify the aspect of your research area that's actually interested, like that you kind of find interesting or something like that. So yeah, and then feel free to just interrupt me if you have any questions. So I won't just talk without having any response. Is that okay?
Okay,
I
hello.
mean, be free to interrupt me with your questions if you have any. Is
Okay,
that
so
okay?
sorry to interrupt. The way we
Oh,
we plan is that after your presentation, people can
mm.
ask questions so that we keep the
Oh,
flow.
okay,
Yes.
okay. Well, that's fine. Yeah. So the first one here is identifying. In this case, you're identifying the research and then the program interest, like I said. And the second one is after identifying the what you want to study on. The next problem is how do I search for school? How do I know the school that I'm supposed to search or how to go about it? And then find the schools and all that. And then at the end of the day, we have the differentiating part. So now you have different schools with, where you have a list of about 50 schools. So how do you differentiate between these schools and that? Or if, assume, at the end of the day, you got admission into one school and then, or got admission about three different schools, how do you decide which school to go to or which school you should prioritize more than the other one? Just basically differentiating between the schools. And then the last one here is about the knowing. So how are you going to navigate a school website? Finding the department, the faculty, the publications, and then the emails. So I'm just going to be talking about each of these outlines, and then hopefully I'm able to do justice to some parts. Yeah. So the first one here is searching for schools. The first here we have the first one. A lot of people talk about not gaining admission into. I'm like I'm using US as a case study right now. In US as a whole, we have over 1,000 universities, if about at least 900 universities that offers graduate degree. So I believe if you join this webinar, is all about you getting admission or scholarship study in the US and all that. So we have numerous number of universities that offer graduate admissions and graduate degrees and all that. So the first thing is for you to know how to search for these schools. And then the first one I talk about here is the self search. And then people talk about that. I don't know how to search for schools. I don't know, like you waiting for someone to send you the link of this or the name of the school to apply to. If you're waiting for someone to do that for you, you might probably wait for a long time. So I think the best thing you have to do is to set to, I call it self search, which is searching by yourself. Everybody have access to Google. Google is your friend. You can browse anything. You can browse anything. Ask Google any question, and the answer is right there. So the first one, I'll believe you. And then some people say if you want to get anything done, you have to do it by yourself. So if you want to get an admission or you really, really need it, I think you shouldn't wait for someone or anybody to sort of send you the list of schools. You just go to Google and then browse it out. You click the list of universities in the United States and all that. And then one other ways of searching for schools or seeing schools that are giving admissions and all that is another means is LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a social media platform, but it's mainly for professional or for professional academia or academics. For purposes like that. So a lot of professors and schools, or basically the professors or the newly admitted professors that are looking for students, they go on LinkedIn and they post the adverts right there. So you just have to. If you're looking for school, LinkedIn should be your friend more than Instagram as far as school search is concerned. They post openings, graduate openings, PhD openings, and everything. And then yeah, so then you all you have to do is to follow a lot of academic related schools and stuffs. And some people, there's a lot of people that post that make a post about admissions, invest schools that offer admissions, schools that are currently open right now, schools that gives funding, or stuff like that. And then the last one I would say is WhatsApp group, because I mean there are a lot of groups and even telegrams that we have that have that's basically for people looking for schools to apply to and all that. So people share a lot of the list of the schools and opportunities there. So all you have to do is just to try to join those, try to join as many WhatsApp group as you want. So even if you don't have the time to search for the school by yourself, but trust me, someone somewhere would definitely post some of these schools on WhatsApp. I just so immediately you see the school, just tie it on your WhatsApp and then just browse it, and then you go ahead to look at other schools, all those things. So that's one of the ways. Those are the three ways that I think you can search for schools by yourself. Yeah, that you go to Google search, use LinkedIn, use WhatsApp or Telegram or social media way. And then the next thing on my agenda is looking for your course of study. Now, after finding the school that you want to, let's assume you, because right now I am a student at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Now you find a school, University of Illinois. There's University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign. Then you find a school, University of Illinois at Chicago. And then you find another school, University of Illinois at Springfield or Purdue universities and all those things. So now you have the list or the numbers of your schools and universities that you can apply to. So now how do you look for your course of study? So after identifying your school, now the next thing on your agenda is searching for your course of study. So assuming you study chemistry in your undergrad, so all you have to do is to search, go to Google. So I think I should try to share my screen right now and just let's see. Um, uh, so I'm just gonna. Can you still see my screen?
It's static.
Oh, let's see. Mm, um, yeah, can you see my screen right now?
Yes.
I can see your screen.
Okay, now so uh yeah, just give me a minute. I think I should just look at my slide from somewhere and just stop. Just stop. Mm, just give me a minute, sorry. Okay, now so after identifying a school, and then you decide to search for the course of study. Let's assume you study. I'll use me like use myself as an example. Say I studied physics in undergrad in OAU, then I decided to pursue my graduate study in the United States. So after having the list of schools and all those things, and then I decided to go to, let's assume I found the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. Then I type or go on my website and just type Department of Physics, the Department of Physics, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. This is going to just give you straight away. It's just going to give you the Department of Physics, University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. And if, assuming you, instead of University of Department of Physics, you decide to, you are in the Department of Chemistry, you just have to type the Department of Chemistry, chemistry University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I'm just going to bring it out. So this is the website, and so this is the website of the school. Let's assume you now, okay, you don't want to study at the University of Illinois, you want to go to Purdue University. So you just have to type Department of Physics, Purdue University, Purdue University, right here, and then it's just going to bring it out to you. So you can search for as many departments or as you want. So the first thing is for you to find your department. So so this is the homepage of Department of Physics, Purdue University. Now, after finding the course of study that you want to find, now how do you find? The next thing you should do is to go and look at the directory. Each university have a website. In this case, it's not like our Nigerian university where they hide. You don't even know. It's very difficult for you to get the email or phone number of a professor and all that. But here, it's different. You can have access to the email. You can just send an email, which is the next part, which is the part where my other colleague is just going to be talking about how to send a code email. So now, after finding the what's it called, the course, then you now go to the directory. So in this case, I'm not a student at Purdue University, but if I want to find the faculty or the staff or find an email of a particular professor, after opening Department of Physics, Purdue University, I'll go to people, and under people will see something like faculty, staff, graduate students, and everything. So under people, there is this part we have the faculty. So I'm just going to click on faculty right now. So these are the list of all the faculties and the people. Let's say, for instance, in the first person here, we have this is a faculty member, and this is her name. So if I want to get the email of this person, I believe if you can still see my screen, here is the email of the person. If I click this, it's just going to take me directly to me sending an email to the person directly. So yeah, so that's one thing. But then if I see this person, if I see Professor Hadish or something, and then I don't know what Professor Hadish is studying or anything, but then I now want to see the homepage or what the person is all about. So I just click the homepage or the about. In this case, I need the homepage. So I know from here I can see the email, the office number, and this is how to get the email of this particular professor, and this is the web page of her department. So now under that, you are going to see her research work, what she's currently doing. She said, my research focuses on hybrid, scalable, and all those things and all that. So then this is her area of interest, which is on feeds and optics, microelectronics and nanotechnology. Then you now look at yourself like, oh, what I did in my undergrad, it is something related to feed and optics or nano something. But if you are in a theoretical nuclear physicist like me, I don't have anything to do with feeds and optics. If you're a solid state physicist, you might have something to do with this. But if you're not, you don't really need this person. You just have to go back. Oh yeah, this person is doing something that I'm not actually interested in. This is a faculty member, but the homepage is not there. This is this person, and this is the homepage of this particular professor. This is the research team and everything. He said all you have to read the whatever this professor research on and everything. So this is just how to get the what? So yeah, and another person is we have this Professor Brian, and this is the homepage. So these are the research interests of this professor, physics education, evidence, and everything. So this person is probably an educational physicist, not into the experimental or something. And you just keep scrolling down, and then you keep seeing a lot of stuff and all that. So this person now deals with quantum matters and devices lab. So if you're interested in anything quantum, then you just go to this person and then you see what they're interested in. So I'm just going to go to look at another person example. So let's say Department of Physics, Indiana University. So this is Department of Physics, Indiana University. Now I want to look for the name of professors, and the next step I'm going to is the directory where I'm going to see the people and everything. So I think I should go to about here. under about where you can see the directory, then all you have to do is to click on the directory. In this case, just going to see faculty and everything. So you click on faculty and scientists. You click on faculty, then you see the professors. These are the professors that we have in physics at Indiana University. This is after you decided that, oh, Indiana University is one of the universities that, okay, well, it's actually rated. It has a lot of research and grants. I want to apply to Indiana University. Now, you now look at these professors, and these are their emails too. So if you are interested in working with Professor David Baster, so you just have to send him an email. This is his research interest. His interest is condensed matter physics, experimental. So this person is on biophysics and everything. This is a theoretical physicist, and this is particle physics. So if your research interest is in particle physics, you just go straight here and then read about what this particular professor. So these are the research interests of this particular professor. So you just have to read about it and on and on. So regardless of the department you find yourself, I would say that is how to just get the name, how to find the name of professors, click the faculties. You see different professors that are working in a research area that you're interested with. You can get their email, and then if what they are doing is interesting to you or you're interested in it, then you can just send them a code email. All right, and then yeah, okay. Let's go back to our PowerPoint. Yeah. So can you still see my screen right now? Can you see my screen?
Yes, we can.
Okay, so yeah. So I guess we've talked about looking for a course of study, the directory, the faculty, the staff, and contacts and the emails. And then the next thing on my agenda is differentiating between schools. I mean, there are schools and there are schools in US, of course. You know, there's, let's say, for instance, there's Harvard University, and then there's Stanford, and then there's University of Illinois. Trust me, if you give me the choice of picking either Harvard or University of Illinois, of course, I'll definitely pick Harvard. So yeah, there are schools and there are schools. So differentiating the schools, there are schools that have a very high funding. So you can say we have different tiers of research universities. We have tier 1, 2, 3. By these tiers, the 1, 2, 3 depends on how good or if the university have a strong reputation for research and funding. Take, for instance, schools like MIT has a very good funding. Lots of companies like Tesla gives those schools larger funding than schools like Western Illinois University. Those people don't get as much fund as those people as Stanford or those things. But then Stanford is very difficult to gain admission to. So yeah, unless if you're a very big dreamer or you dream big, but trust me, I don't think I dream that big to enter Stanford. I don't even apply for it. So yeah, but then so we have different research classifications. Yeah, and then we have the first one is R1. So if you meet some people, they'll tell you, oh, my university is an R1 university. That means R1 means is has a very high research activities. And there are some schools that are rated R2, and then it has high research activities, not very high, not as high as R1. And then we have some universities that are R3 classified, meaning they have moderate research activities. Not that there's not enough research activities, but then they do have, but not as much as the R1s. So the R1 universities usually have more funding. When you see very high research activities, means this universities gives a lot of fundings. They give a lot. So, and if a university have funding, they will want to recruit students. If they will employ a lot of advisors or professors. So more professors in a university means more students. Take, for instance, University of Illinois. The last time I checked, I think it's R1 university. It's rated very high research university. University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign. I mean, we have University of Illinois system. Purdue University too. I think Purdue University too is also rated R1. So that is a very high research activities. So that's why you see a lot of students applying for these schools and then getting admissions and then other stuff, getting funding. Of course, we are I believe at least 80% of us are Nigerian. You're not, trust me, you don't want to study a PhD with you funding your tuition and your house rent and everything, unless your dad is probably related to the Otedolas or the Dangotes or the Adelekes. So I think that your best bet or your best choice is for you to get a scholarship. You can only get a scholarship or not. Don't let me say you can only get. You have a very high chance of getting a scholarship if you actually applying to these schools that has very high research activities. And how do you find schools that has very high research activities? I think I have something right here. Um, yeah, so you can just Google search universities, names of schools classified as R1. Can you
You can see your
list them?
screen.
You can see my screen. Uh, uh, let me see. Let me see. Sorry, this is share. How about now? How about now? Can you see my screen?
I can see your screen.
Yes, yes.
Okay. So then if you want to look for schools that are classified as R1 and R2 and R3, like I said, Google is still our friends. So all you have to do is just go to Google, type anything, just type some keywords like names of school classified as R1, R2, and R3, this thing. And then the first thing you see here is you see Wikipedia, then you click on it. And then it's gonna tell you a lot of stuff, histories and everything and everything and everything, research and development and all those things. So universities classified as R1, in this case, the doctorate universities, has very high research activities. Take for instance, my school right now where I study, we don't have a master's program. Department of Physics at the University of Illinois Urbana-Champaign doesn't have a master's program. Everybody admitted into the Department of Physics, they're all doctoral students, they're all PhD students. And as a matter of fact, because we are rated R1, we have the largest number of PhD students in the United States. We have more than 300. Like in my set alone, the number of people that gain admission were about more than like 50 or so, and everybody is on scholarship. And if you're on scholarship, you're either going to be a research assistant or a teaching assistant. So you need that. You need something. You need to go to school where that you don't have to worry about your tuition fee. You don't have to worry about how to pay your house rent and all those things. So it's better. That's why I talk about these R1 research institutions. And these are the list of schools names, very high research in. So, and this is one other ways for you to search for schools. So instead of looking for another things, you have Arizona State University. It's a public school, but it's also a very high research institution. So these are the list of schools that you can apply to that has very high chance of getting funding. Yeah. So this is my school right now. You can see University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign is a public school, but then it's also listed as R1. So if my school can give funding and all those things, imagine the number of schools and universities that we have listed here as R1 research institutes. That means your options are not limited. Actually, as a matter of fact, you have a lot of schools that you can apply to that is going to give you scholarships and admissions and all that. And then the next one here we have is the R2. In this case, these ones are classified as high research activities, but not very high. They have very good distance to the GIS funding. These are the list of university that has high research activities too. You can see all these schools here. So you don't even need to search for a school, like search for long. Or you just click school, California Department of Physics or Department of Microbiology, California State University, or Department of Computer Science, Bowling Green State University, and then just keep going looking for professors and then emailing them. And then, so these are the R2. It's a lot. And these are also the, I think these are the R3 or something. So that's how to find the universities that are listed R1, R2, and R3. Yeah. And then I think I should go back to my PowerPoint. Yeah. Yeah, so these are the differentiating between the schools and all that. And then the next thing is the navigating life, which is what I've talked about. I mean, I've basically showed us how to find professors, how to get, how to go to the directory, how to find the schools, how to find anything that you want. Yeah, so I think that's how all I have for now. But if you have any questions, you can just let me know. I might have been missing some stuff or didn't put more details to some of these aspects. But if you have any questions, just say yeah.
Okay, so Faye just took us through how to get the emails, and I think she did a very good job. If there's any adjustments I'll make to that is sometimes a department you can work in may not be named the typical thing, so it could be named something else. For instance, I was looking for professors in the epidemiology field, and some departments would call them population medicine or something. You know, they were doing the same work, but it was a different name. So while you search departments off on the university, sometimes you may want to do due diligence and go to the university website and try to see their programs. So there might be 2 different programs you fit into, you know, just check. There is no harm in doing that. So now I'm going to talk about, now you've gotten the professor's email, what next? From the get-go, I was thinking it'd be very, very important to do a heavy lifting and talk about the heavy stuff. Which is, so we'll be talking about what goes on behind the scenes, how to handle rejection, which is the heavy stuff, how to craft the ideal cold email, do's and don'ts of cold email. We'll also talk about how to increase your chances of success. We'll talk about a lot of things, but I wanted to just summarize them in just these 3 agendas here. So like I said, the heavy stuff. And in my opinion, the first things I tell people when they want to start sending out cold mails is expect rejection. Rejections they come with it. It's the name of the game. Like I wrote here, you cannot do without it. If you want to start the cold mailing process, it's very important that you prepare your mind and know ahead of time that rejections would come. You might be lucky that your first email that you send, gets accepted and then you get a professor. However, that's not the case for most people. As you can see here, I have a lot of rejection. I couldn't screenshot all of them, but these are just a few of them. And sometimes I'm even happier when I get an email, a rejection email, because it means they read your email. Sometimes they don't even hear anything back. What do you do with that? And sometimes they send you a response like, not at this moment. Yeah, so rejections they are part of the cold mailing process. So it's always important you prepare your mind for it. But with rejection, you also have to know there's something happening in the background. As grad students, or as prospective grad students, when we are sending emails to a professor, we always are not aware of what's happening at the other end of the professors or whoever is there that we are sending to. And while I was also applying or sending out emails, I also wasn't aware of some of these things until I got here and I became aware. I'm going to share some of those things with you so that you always know sometimes it's not always dependent on you. It's not that you're not good enough. Sometimes some things just have to align for you to get that professor to say, yes, I'm going to give you the full funding you want, come over. So one of the things that has to align or has to be present is the desire to pursue the new project. And this is from the side of the professor. The professor needs to actually want to seek new projects. And from their end, they can decide not to pursue new projects for different reasons. It could be because they are retiring in maybe the next year, and getting a new student will be a waste of time or will be unnecessary. Or it could be they are trying to break into a new field and they need all the time and resources that they can get to try and get solidified in that field. And so they cannot take a grad student or they cannot mentor anybody at that time. So this is there. Another thing that is there that I think is also very important is the availability of funding. This is very, very important. I cannot speak for all the universities or all the countries, but US particularly, I can say, for a professor to bring you in on full funding, he or she or they needs to at least put down around 40, 50, 60, 70. I've seen, I saw 70 this year, or even $80,000 down as proof for full funding, by the way, that they can take you in, pay for your tuition, and also give you stipend. If this is not available and you're sending this person an email, maybe they'll give you, partial funding, but, maybe they won't even give you any funding at all. Now, the way you can work around this is sometimes there are some universities that if you apply to them, they give you admission and it comes with funding. It's not dependent on any professor. It's the department that funds it, and you can work around it with that. Or like Faye talked about, if you're related to Otedola or something like that, you can self-fund, and you are only sending an email to the professor to say, I have the money, I just want you to supervise me. Professors like that a lot. Or you are funded by Fulbright, as a case, or by your government, as the case may be. I know a lot of my friends that are being funded by Fulbright or by their government. So if that is your case, this may not apply to you much. But funding is a big issue for professors trying to bring students in. Another thing that needs to be present is the absence of a grad student. Now, this is tricky, and I'll try and explain it as possible as I can. Is a lot of times when we see somebody on LinkedIn, they got a grant, or in the news they have a grant for a new project. The first instinct that we have as prospective grad students is to send them an email and say, hey, knowing that they have the money anyway, and say, hey, I'm interested in your field, please pick me. But something we usually don't know is if there is a grad student in that lab who can do that work. So I'll give you an example. I came into my lab to work on projects related to AMR, that's antimicrobial resistance. But since I've gotten here, my professor has gotten a couple of grants related to the same subject. Now, do you think, especially if I'm available, do you think she would start looking for a new student from Africa, trying to pay another $60,000, $70,000 to try and bring a student in when she can just push the work to me? It's cheaper. It's easier because she doesn't have to deal with having to start to mentor a new student or deal with somebody trying to settle all of that stuff. And it's just better. So this is one of the things that needs to be there. There needs to be nobody available or capable of doing that project before they can take you in sometimes, or most times. Another thing that needs to align is the availability of lab space, equipment, and other resources needed for your research. Sometimes a supervisor can only take 5 students. Mentoring is very stressful, especially for very good supervisors who have weekly meetings with their students, whose students can reach out to them anytime. When you have 10, and they have to deal with school as well, they have to teach. Sometimes they also have to do their own research. They have to go for conferences. They also have administrative duties. And then having a lot of students, it takes its toll. And then they have families as well. So people always have limits like this. And you may be a very, very good candidate or a good prospect, but because of some of these things, they will not take you in. So when you are sending an email and you get rejections, you should not always take it upon yourself like, oh, it's my fault, I'm not good enough. It's not always the case. Sometimes some of these things has to align. And there are a lot of them. These are just 4 that I'm bringing to you. So rejections would come. And we need to deal with them one way or the other. I had to deal with them one way or the other. And I'm sure Faye also had similar experiences. So what are the ways that we can deal with some of these rejections? One of the ways is to prepare your mind for it. That it will come while you're starting the journey. Just prepare your mind that, yes, it's part of the journey. That way you're not shocked by it. Another way to deal with it is to take a break when you feel overwhelmed. Don't feel ashamed. Take a break. It's okay to feel overwhelmed. Ask anybody who has been on a journey. It gets tiring. You're putting in all your effort, your time, and there's a lot of expectations from you. You are seeing people who are getting results. Why are you not getting results? It's depressing. You are combining that with work, with family. You're tired, a lot of those stuff. It can get overwhelming. Feel free to take a break. Just don't take too long a break. Now, the next thing I'll talk about will help you with taking a break, which is having a mentor or an accountability partner. Somebody will reach out to you and say, hey, what's up with that stuff you told me about? Have you been applying? How many have you sent today? And this is really helpful. And I'll tell you a story. While I was in my own journey, I had two people who were helping me. And one of them is on this Zoom call now. Let me just give you a very short backstory. I got a professor who was very interested in me, asked me to come over, everything, yada, yada. I made a proposal presentation. I sent a project. They were willing to take me in. We had agreed. I was going to take samples from Nigeria, bring it to the US. Everything was agreed. Everything was planned over months. And then all of a sudden, one time, I did not hear anything back. Now, I got here or later on, I found out that the reason I didn't hear anything back was because they reached out to a professor in Nigeria wanting to store the samples in his lab, but he did not check his email and he did not reply early. But while I was there, I didn't know all of this, and I was really, really sad and overwhelmed and heartbroken about it because I'd spent so much time on this work, on this person, and my expectations were high, and I stopped applying. But these two people that I told you that I had in my corner, which one of them is on this Zoom call today, were the ones that encouraged me to pick it up. And when I picked it up, I think it was that month or the month after, I got other offers. So having a mentor and accountability partner can be very, very helpful to remind you in those days when you are getting too stressed, depressed, or taking a very, very long break, that you should pick it up again. And last but not the least is to set quotas for yourself. Make it be a numbers thing. What I mean is, let it be a daily thing that, okay, this month, this week, this day, I'm sending 10 emails. It does not matter what they send back to me, but I'm sending 10 emails per day. So you're just sending emails. While they are telling you, I'm so sorry, I cannot help you, or your head is too big, I can't take you in, you are just sending your emails, just trying to hit that quota. Till one day you finally get that positive email. If you make it a numbers thing in your head, you are not too involved or too engrossed in the replies you're getting. You are just trying to hit that quota every month, every day, or every week, as the case may be. So that's one way to deal with it. While we say all of this, I think it's also important to let you know that cold mailing does work. We're not here to just tell you to aspire to perspire so that you can expire and be required or something. It does work. I thought it's very, very important. I didn't want to do this, but I thought it was very important to show you that it's something that works. And these are some of the examples of times when, these are my own personal experiences. I'm sure Faye has her own results as well. These are times when people reached out to me and said they were willing to take me in just because I sent a cold mail. You can see the first one here was a master's in this particular program, yada, yada. And I had a meeting with this person where she was willing to take me in. She was the one that I told you the story about. And they were the one that I had that, had it all. But if everything had gone well, I would have gone for this program. Another result, another time that cold mail got me through something was in this particular, I got this particular professor from Cornell, who I met. After all of this, we met over Zoom, and she agreed to take me in. The plan was after 1 year, I was going to join her lab, yada, yada. I did not end up going with her for personal reasons, but cold mail got me through Cornell. If I was personally paying admission fees, whatever, and choosing universities to apply to, I would never have chosen Cornell, because I would have thought, Cornell, an Ivy League school, how would I get in? But cold mail got me through. So cold mail is a really, really powerful thing. There are more examples. This was the one I ended up going, a PhD position. If I was personally applying for positions, I would not have gone for a PhD. I would have gone for a master's because I didn't have a master's. But from cold mail, I was offered a PhD position, which was mind-blowing. Now, this last one, I'm adding it because I think it's quite important to show how important cold mail or how useful cold mails can be. I got this particular email after I got here, and I sent a cold mail to this person. He's a big shot in the field where I work, and I admire him a lot. And I sent him an email saying, hey, I have this project I would like you to work on. And lo and behold, I had a meeting with him and he agreed to jump on the project. One day, he sent me this email saying, because he thought I was running the master's program anyway, and said he wanted me to come over to Australia to come for a PhD. If I was a master's student and I was interested in going to Australia, I would have taken this offer, and I got it through CodeMill. And what this means is, even when you're running a master's, you can always use your CodeMill to scale up to get a PhD. But even when you're done with your PhD, you can use your CodeMill to scale up to get a job. So CodeMills are really, really important. And I'm not just trying to sell you wishes and promises here. They do work. And these are some of the proofs that they do work. Now, to the reason why you joined this seminar, writing the ideal CodeMill. Before we dive into the real thing, I think it's very important I tell you that when it comes to writing a CodeMill, there are two schools of thought, in my own personal opinion. There is a quantity team and there's a quality team. This is the first time I will tell you that I think quality is better over quantity is better over quality, because I belong to the quantity team. And I'll just give you a brief explanation, but I'll show you proof of it later on. What the quantity team is. The quantity team believes in reaching. It's not that you're not sending generic emails. It is sort of generic, but you are editing certain things that makes it look personal to the person. But your goal is to reach as many professors as you can at a particular time. While the quality team, they believe in doing the research of the professor, trying to read, trying to find out what year the person was born, how many children, what complications the person, I'm exaggerating, but the point is, before they send an email, they get to know the professor very well, and they even propose, they send proposals. The majority of what you see online, on Twitter, on LinkedIn, are templates from the quality team that will show you people who are trying to propose a project. In my opinion, I don't believe it works. Now, don't get me wrong, it does work. But I just believe the quantity team gets better results, because with all the things we've mentioned, if the professor doesn't have funding, if there's somebody there, if you propose the best things, they can't take you in. And imagine if you have to send emails to 500 professors, you have to propose projects for each one of them that are doing 500 different things. So do they both work? They do work, but I'm just trying to tell you that the templates I will show you, or what I will teach you today, is related to the quantity team, not the quality. So just be aware of that. When writing an email, the first thing in an email is subject line. Now, I usually believe the subject should be not more than 4 words. You may see longer on Google or outside there, but I usually believe you can summarize what you want in 4 lines or less than that. I used the first one for all my emails. And what a subject particularly does is it prompts the person, or it primes the person who is trying to read your email about what your email is about. So it doesn't let them think it's a scam from somebody trying to scam them through Microsoft Word, purchase or something, or a scammer from a prince from Africa, or those kind of things. It prepares their mind. And if it's a professor who's looking for a graduate student, once they see this, they are enthusiastic to read your email. Another thing, so some mistakes you should not make is to making your email too long. I'm really interested in it's too long. It's too long. They won't even see the core thing, because email will shorten it. Saying research as a subject, doesn't say anything. So research about what? It doesn't say urgent request. It sounds like an emergency. It doesn't say anything. So be clear, be concise in your subject. The next thing would be the address. Now, this is very, very interesting, because I see a lot of people make mistakes with this. You can address dear or hello, and followed by the title, the first and the last name of the person, or use the first name of the person. All of that work. But the first wrong one you can see here, I saw it recently, and I even shared it to a couple of colleagues. People who use templates from ChatGPT and forget to edit the template, because ChatGPT will say, dear, write the professor name, and you send it to the professor, and you send it to the professor like that. That's a bad thing. Don't do that. Another one is, you don't want to misspell the person's name. Make sure you check very well. People get offended by things like this. You'll be surprised. You also don't want to sound too casual or too informal. It makes you look almost unprofessional. Because as a grad student, you'll be representing your lab and your professor in many places in conferences. If they feel like you don't know how to conduct yourself in an official setting, it's not a good sign for you. Now, some people ask about, what about dear sir, dear ma? I would say that's very tricky, and I made mistakes with that when I started initially by saying dear sir, dear ma, because when you come to places like this, you find out that people identify as different things. You know, I remember one time I was trying to send an email to a person, and from the name, it seemed to me like they were male. And I shot the person because I was trying to reach as many as I could at that moment. And I shot the person an email saying, yes, sir. Eventually, I went back to the person's profile and I read, and I saw the person was actually assigned at birth male, but identified as female. And I had to send another email saying, I'm so sorry. The first email I sent you is not the correct one. I did not know. The person did not reply any of them. So save yourself that stress and just call them by their name. Don't use sir, don't use ma, don't use anything. Are people listening? There's so much radio silence.
Yeah, we are.
Yes, yes, we understand.
Okay, great. So the next one, I think this is very, very important. And while I'm saying the things that I'm saying, I will always emphasize, take what I say with a pinch of salt. People do things differently. You can find your own mojo, but these are some of the things I just think are important or that worked for me. You may find something different that works for you. Don't take what I say hook, line, and sinker. They just what worked for me, and I've seen that worked for a lot of people. You don't have to stick to it per se. The next thing I want to talk to you about is the introduction. I think this is the most, not the most important part, but one of the most important parts. What you want to communicate with your introduction is that this thing I'm sending to you is tailored for you. That's majorly. You want to show them that this email I'm sending is not a generic email. I'm not just sending it to anybody, it's for you. And from this example that I'm showing on my screen, there are a few things here. I wrote this one that I would say ties my email to the person I'm sending it to. One of the first things is the university I mentioned. Some people write an email and say, my name is I created that's the introduction. Nothing tying the email to the person per se, to the person they're sending it to, what I mean. But by writing the name of the person's university, saying I stumbled on your profile, it looks very personal. It resonated with mine, and mentioning, you can see epidemiologists there, and if the person is in the field of epidemiology, they know it's not just an email you send to everybody. It's because, number one, they're an epidemiologist and they're in each university, you send it to them. So it looks personal from the get-go. Whatever you do in your introduction, make sure you try. It's not, well, like I said, take what I say with a pinch of salt, but this is what I believe. Try to tie your email to the person from the get-go, so it doesn't look like it's just generic. This is an example of somebody who sent an email. This was the introduction they sent. They said, my name is this. I'm concluding my master's in this. I've been following your work on the da-da-da-da-da. It ties, and I've used this kind of template myself by mentioning either a publication they were in or something they published or something they said from my introduction to let them know I'm not looking for somebody else. I'm looking for you. Now, another thing you want to talk about is experience. Now, you may not notice, but I pulled this part, this first example I'm showing you, from the introduction that I just showed you, because the person combined both experience and the introduction together. Like I said, people write things differently. You can choose your own. Some people will take experience out and try to develop it. I just summarize it, hoping that they will look at my CV to expand more on it. So in your experience, in writing your experience, one thing I will tell you is try to summarize as much, well, not summarize too much, but as much as you can. You don't need to say, I fed the mice, I slept in the lab. You will not believe what happened. I was the only one that injected the mice, and the mice woke up on the 6th day. You don't have to do that. Look for words that encapsulate your experience as short words. Emails are not thesis materials. They're not manuscripts. Try to summarize your experience as much as you can and make it compelling. This is another example of somebody trying to talk about the experience. You see, they didn't even talk about your skills, talk about something you did that is related to the field of the person you are writing to. Now, I'll tell you something. This was the experience I wrote, but I had experience in my undergraduate research. I worked on rabies, but I did not write that in my experience because it wasn't. Now, this is not me saying if it's not related, you should not do it. If the person I was writing to was lab related, I would have written about the things I did in the lab, but the person wasn't lab related, so there was no point. So make sure the skills you are thinking and writing about is something that will excite the person you are writing to. It's very important. Do whatever works for you, but try to apply these principles that I'm talking to you about. Am I still on time? It seems so. Yeah, okay. I think I should slow down a bit because I was trying to rush because of time. Yeah, so the next thing in an email, when I'm sending an email that I try to tidy up, is the interest and the goals. And this is really tricky. This is really tricky. One advice that I give people, like I say, take it with a pinch of salt, is try to be general as much as you can and try to be specific as much as you can. I'll give you an example. Food, there is food, and the type of food people eat is fruit. Type of fruit, there is mango, there's pawpaw, there's whatever. Mango has seeds. Now, if you talk about your goal and your interest by saying, I'm interested in foods, that's almost too general. If you say you are interested in how mango seeds become hard in the one thing, that's almost too specific, because the danger is you might be shooting yourself in the leg. The person you're writing to might say, this person is interested in this. I don't want to impose my own project on this person when the person is interested in something else. If you are almost too specific, in my opinion, it might do you more harm than good, because my professor, for instance, works on different things. So look for generic terms, but yet that looks like you have a direction. So if you look at my own goal here, or my own interest, I said, I hope to use my study to understand the transition of diseases. There are many diseases, so I use it as an umbrella to cover a lot of things. Yet I'm interested in the transmission. It looks specific. It looks like I know what I'm looking for. However, I try to make it as broad yet as specific, if that makes any sense. So this would vary. We're in different fields. I know we're not all in transition of diseases here. So this will vary depending on your field, depending on who you're writing to, and I said even especially among under. So I just try to be specific at the same time, try to be general. Don't look like you are aimless. Another example is this person. This person talked about, their background, but also said that they want to seek innovative solutions in medicinal chemistry. Medicinal chemistry, if you're not saying this particular enzyme, you're not saying, I'm interested in how this enzyme was created or how it works. You may be shooting yourself in the leg. So try to be broad and try to be specific as much as you can. That's what I would say. And some people do not apply. Some people actually talk about those specific things and they get results. So I'm not saying one way is better than the other. I'm just telling you what I believe in and what I use, my own perspective of all of this. Yeah. Please, if I'm going too fast, let me know. I'm just trying to be time conscious. Yeah. Now, the last but not the least is, and I'm going to show you what quality writing looks like. I mean, the quality team, what their writing looks like. Now, the conclusion. Whatever you write in your conclusion, try to make sure you end it with a call to action. Either you end with a call to action, you let them know you've attached something, or you let them know you're interested in talking. So look at this call to action. The person talked about, could we arrange a meeting? I'll be delighted to share more about my work. Compare that to, I believe I'll be a good addition to your team. And there is a study, I can't remember where I saw this study now, but I remember seeing it somewhere that emails that end with questions, or that sort of end with questions or prompts, are more likely to get responses, whether negative or positive. It's better than radio silence. So try to end with the prompt. Are you available to, or do you have any position open in your lab. I would like to know, I would like to discuss more about it. The person might be prompted to say, okay, I'm so sorry, I do not have. Or at least you know your fate rather than not hearing anything at all. This is another very good example. If you don't mind, I would love to know your thoughts about other ongoing projects in your laboratory through a video chat. Always try to encourage a video chat, not an email back, because you never know when you get that. And a video chat connects you with the person in some way. The person hears you talk, he sees how confident you are, the environment, just gets a good feel of you and get a good feel of the person. I've attached my CV, yada, yada, yada. Always try to encourage or end with a question as much as you can. Now, I promised I was going to show you what a quality email or what the quality team email look like. And this is exactly how it looks like. This can come in at any points of what I've just discussed with you. And you can see this particular person said they had been following the person's work. They read the person's paper, and that's fine. Even the quantity team should do this. Just go through the paper, have a feel of what the person's paper is about. It's okay. And this person said, if I follow the person on LinkedIn, said he even watched the graduate students' YouTube videos. In fact, even still proposed the project, even still read review articles in that person's field. This is even short. I've seen way, way longer ones. Some people write a lot of it, like a lot of things, write a full-blown proposal of what they think the professor can do next. Does this work? It does work. I would not even tell you it does not work. It does work for sure. However, I think these are the people that usually get more depressed faster because they not depressed, overwhelmed. Sorry about that. Overwhelmed by the process because they put so much energy in the emails they send per professor and they wait for that response. When the professor says, I love you, I love your work, and Nigerian is coming up. I love your work. I love your idea. I just don't have funding. Then you have to move on to the next person and read the person's work and read the review articles around the person's work and propose something. I think this usually works for people who are maybe already pursuing a master's program in a field and are on a path and trying to dive deep into that path. If you are a grad student, you just got out of university, you have no clue, and you're willing to take anything. Well, make your own decision, But does it work? It works for sure. It works, and I've seen it. In fact, all the templates you see, most of them you see online, it's like this usually. Most of it, it's like this. So, whatever works for you, please, by all means. The next thing we'll talk about is how to increase your chances when sending cold emails out. Now, knowing proper email etiquette is very, very important. Knowing the difference between reply and reply all. Don't think you are smart and you're trying to send emails to a lot of professors, and so you add their email in the email line, thinking when you click send, they're going to see it, but you're trying to save yourself stress. They're actually going to see that you're sending to all these other people, and they're going to see it. So knowing some of these things, how to navigate an email, is very important. The email language is very different. There's a running joke we have in Nigeria that, and I tell a lot of people here are Nigerians, that we always say sorry before we say something. You don't write an email and say, I'm so sorry to disturb you, but I'm looking for this. You don't say N and say, my God will bless you. I remember I was tempted at some point to tell some people that God will bless you, but no proper email etiquette. ChatGPT is a very good help in this regard. You can write your email, draft it out, send it to ChatGPT and say, please help me refine it and make it email proper for me. That helps. Are we following? Is radio silent?
Yes, we are.
Yes, we are.
Thank you so much. So the next thing, less is more. Less is always more. People who follow me on WhatsApp will probably know this. Sometimes I just post less is more because less is always more. Maybe not in this seminar because the more you know, the better. But in cold emailing, less is more. You don't have to write everything. You don't try to summarize, try to be professional, try to be brief as much as you can. You don't have to repeat things. as I have said above, I hereby iterate my points. And now, I was the one that you would not believe, Kai. If you don't take me in this your lab, you will regret it. Oh, no. Try to be concise as much as you can. When people don't have that much time. So when they give you, let them grab everything, because some people will stop halfway. I'm that kind of person. If your email is too long, I won't read it. So imagine if I was a professor and people sending me long emails. Immediately I say that it's long, I know you don't, just less is more. The next thing is try to time your applications. Know the difference between time zones. A person who sends an email around 8 a.m. has a higher than somebody who sends on the weekend, has a higher chance of being seen more. When a person gets to work at 8 a.m., they're just trying to settle, they're trying to just flex, trying to see what do I have to do today. When your email comes in, they are freer. Their head is they're not that tense, they can see it. Right? And if you send it in the evening, or not in the evening, in the weekends, your other emails will pile up on top of it, and yours becomes less priority because now they have a serious thing to deal with. And they probably tell themselves, okay, I will read it later, but they probably won't. So always make sure you're trying to send it in weekday and early as much as you can. I didn't personally adhere strictly to this, but I've come to find that it helps. So something to keep in mind when you're sending out your emails. Proofread your email. Oh my, proofread your emails. Proofread it. Don't send grammatical errors. Don't send emails full of grammatical errors. I'm probably making these mistakes. Like I said, as a grad student, you would be representing your professor in a lot of conferences, in a lot of places. You'll be giving talks, and professors sometimes pride in their grad students. You don't want to seem like somebody who would embarrass your grad student, your professor, by sending an email like you don't even know you don't have a proper command of English. You don't want to give that impression. It's a bad impression to lead with. You also don't want to feed into the narrative that a certain group of people don't know how to speak English. So they already have that notion of you. The slightest mistakes you make will feed in, they will filter it through that. And they will just put you in that box, and it may not be too good for you. Like I said, ChatGPT is a very good help in this regard. ChatGPT, I'm putting this email, I want to send it to Russell. Can you feed it for me? I'll go a long way for you. Or send it to a friend, send it to a mentor. Is this good? Is there anything you think I should add to this? That kind of thing. Proofreading also, that kind of thing, basically. End with a prompt. I think I've talked about this before. Ending with a prompt helps. Ending with a prompt or with a question increases your chances of getting a reply back. So if you think you're somebody who likes to get replies in your emails, whether negative or positive, try to end with a prompt or a question. Yeah. The next thing is, I cannot emphasize this. So I think this should even be a different webinar on its own. I see a lot of people, and this is the first advice I give people. When you come out of university, if you're a fresh graduate, some of you are on this call, you come out of university, nothing distinguishes you from your other colleagues. Nothing. Don't think just because you are available. A supervisor wants their life to be easy. They also want excellence. They don't want take courses, especially the ones related to your field. Take courses. The courses I tell people to start with is data analysis. Now, the language you would learn would vary depending on the program you're trying to. If you are going to a pharmaceutical thing, definitely you're going to be looking at data. Or if you're going more some other area, you're going to look at MATLAB or R, depending. So take courses. If you're a professional, somebody was saying you have two people. Two of them are graduates, but one has skills in data analysis and the other doesn't. He's just, because he's there, want you to take him. Who would you pick? Data analysis is something every researcher would need, so why not get it early? Why not make yourself look more attractive? Why not be outstanding from your other colleagues? Be different. Being different, you have to do things. Okay, another thing to say is, when you take courses, also add them to your CV. And you don't have to complete them to add them in your CV. And I'm not saying you should go around lying in your CV. I did this, not lying. I added courses I was taking in my CV. There's nothing wrong in adding them and putting in brackets ongoing. It does a lot of things. One, it shows your interest in the field that you are taking, and it shows your readiness in some way. It also shows you're not just trying to see who will take you, just putting your basket out there and see what it takes. You know, it gives you a lot of credibility. And people do check emails. They do CVs. They do. I've sent emails out before and gotten replies like, "Hello, Charles, you didn't send your CV. Please attach it." I mean, those people just didn't just got my hopes high and did not. But people check CVs. Some people will tell you your CV is really impressive. I don't have funding now to take you. So take these courses and make sure it's related to the field you're taking. You are trying to break into and add them to your CVs. As I cannot overemphasize that. Now, leverage on professors' connections. This can help you in some way. Say you send an email to a professor and they say, "Oh, I don't have funding for you," or "This may not be best suited for you, but check out this guy." Sorry, that's my time. Apparently, my time is up. They say, I cannot take you in, but check out this guy. It's okay to always say, to write when you're messaging that new guy and say, "Oh, hey, I'm a graduate. I was recommended to you." Like I said, always make sure it's tailored. Make them feel like you're looking for them, like it's them. That could even be an introduction. That I was recommended as a very good fit to you by, or so this person said you're a good fit for me. This also person said so. You know, yada, yada, yada. That would do a lot of things for you. Like it would give you credibility. Like, okay, even though that other person probably did not vet you, it gives this person a feeling. Okay, maybe I respect that person. If they think he's good, he's probably good. You know, and it just makes things easy for you. It breaks the ice in some way. My time is up, so I'll try to speed this. I mean, I'm done practically, basically. So the last thing is to craft an academic CV and attach it to your emails, in all your emails that you send out, your cold emails, I mean. An academic CV is quite different from the usual CV that we see. And it's very, very important. I also did not know about this until one day I was talking to a senior colleague while I was applying, a senior colleague that passed out from my program while I was still an undergrad. And he sent me his own, and I saw the difference. An academic CV is quite different. It's kind of similar, but very, at the same time, somewhat different from an actual CV. So try to make sure you tailor your CV to make it look academic and send that out. You know, you don't have to always add everything. I was the religious leader when I was 100 level. And, you know, an academic CV is somewhat different, you know. Yeah. So this is basically all I have for you. And when writing a CV, you can either do it yourself or you can take the services of people who are experts at it. The people who are organizing this current seminar, you know, and I thank them so much for the opportunity to present here, are some of the people that I know they do excellent CVs, and I've seen proofs. I don't just sell people, I don't just plug people. I only tell people. In fact, my connections, I'm going to refer them to them because I've seen very, very good results from them. And these are some of the results that I found that they have. They are called scholars writing up. These are some of the results of people they wrote CVs for that sent out cold emails, and these were what people were telling them back. That you can see they were actually talking about the CV. Well, you have an excellent CV. All right, you have a very strong CV. Even I didn't get this kind of responses, so you would know they are probably doing a very, very good job with the CVs that they are drafting. So if you need an academic CV or you need a CV for a job, you need a CV for something, try and make sure you reach out to them. I also would definitely be looking at their services in the future. But that's all I basically have for you. And I hope I know most of these things you've heard them before. But I hope you're able to take one or two things out of it. And I'll be more than happy to take questions. I decided to add this quote here. It's a quote I really, really love, and it's about perseverance. It says, "When nothing seems to help, I go and look at a stone cutter and cutter hammering away at his rock, perhaps 100 times, without as much as a crack showing in it. Yet at the 101st blow, it was split in two. And I know it was not that blow that did it, but all that had gone before." And I think this also is very, very relevant to cold meaning, because the more you actually send emails out, the more perfect you get. The more you know what to do, how to get the attention of a person. You know the mistakes you are making and how to adjust. So please do not, if you're already on the code meeting journey, don't get overwhelmed by the negative response you're getting. keep at it, keep doing it. You can be doing other things as well, but rejection is just part of it. And yeah, thank you so much. This is all I have.
All right, Charles, thank you. Can we all just appreciate him? Let's uh, let's appreciate him for that session. I think we've had two good speakers tonight, and you know this is just very excellent. So thank you, Charles, for that session. Thank you, Fee, for your session. We are so grateful. You've thrown a lot of light to make us understand what R1, R2, R3 is. So we are so grateful for you for that session, and you know how to navigate our way on the university course.